There's some centers I've dealt with where I go do their banquet and I think, oh man, I'm basically helping raise money for a social relief agency. And then there's other ones I go to and I am energized. I go back to the hotel that night and it's hard to get to sleep because I'm so excited about the work they're doing in that particular community. Now, it's not just on the left that pregnancy centers are taking heat right now. They're also taking heat from those on the right who are saying, if you are really committed to abolishing abortion, you will join us in pushing forward these equal protection bills that would abolish abortion and prosecute women for murder. I heard one spokesperson recently say, yeah, that's exactly what we need to do. And if we really care about deterring women from abortion, the only way you're really going to do that is to threaten to criminalize them for doing it. Would you speak to that in light of a pregnancy center ministry model?
Well, for starters, whenever I hear the term equal protection, the first question that comes to my mind is, who are you protecting? And how effectively will what you do protect that person? And I would argue that the primary goal of a pregnancy center is to protect the lives of unborn children from the threat of abortion. That's their job. Equal protection laws don't do that. For a number of reasons. Number one, because they can't be passed, right? They have not been passed, haven't even gotten close to being passed anywhere. And I find it intriguing that the equal protection people say it's because the pro-life people won't join us. And my thoughts are, if you can't get the people who are already closely aligned with you, how in the world do you think you're ever going to get people who are actively opposed to you?
This is a huge problem, and this is why they lose me. They have a total inability to build coalitions with the people they need to convert to win the day. And then they blame those that don't agree with them. It's like, wait a minute, that's on you, not us.
It also happens, you'll notice that they always make the big push in states that are already largely pro-life, right? I'm not impressed. At that point, they're just being incrementalists, right? They're building on what other people have already done. Try that in California. Try that in Illinois or New York, right? And see how well it goes. You've got to build the foundation first. Now, we're talking about pregnancy centers today, so I will say I do think pregnancy centers are the tip of the spear in this. And the first thing that has to happen is we've got to get into the voters. People talk about GOTV, right? Get out the vote. That only works if people are already with you. The problem is
level,
exactly. And when you take a look at our founding documents, the whole idea in the United States is that laws have to be passed with the consent of the governed. We don't have the consent of the governed on this issue right now. We barely have the consent of the governed in conservative churches. And so the problem is that people don't want to do the long, hard work that's necessary. And the long, hard work that's necessary is an educational work. We've got to be able to get into churches. And then if we can get into churches and help these people to have a biblical worldview, I've said all over the place, it's a weird thing to look a bunch of pastors in the face, which I do at every session that I do, and say to them, it's a hard thing, a weird thing to ask you, but we've got to teach our people to not intentionally kill their children. That's an odd thing to say. And yet we have to say it because it's gone unsaid. And because it's gone unsaid, that vacuum has been filled by the language of the abortion industry. And as a result, the latest research I saw, about 40% of women who are having abortions are in church at the time of their abortion. So how in the world are we going to win states and secular culture when we can't even win in the church? In fact, if you wanted to shut down Planned Parenthood, I've been saying this for decades, if you wanted to shut down Planned Parenthood, the quickest way to do it is keep people in church out of their offices. Most organizations cannot survive a 40% dip in their clientele. So we've got to do that hard work first. I believe it will spill over into the community. I think it will eventually spill over into the state. But until we do the work up front, we can't. We're never going to win.